Assalamu alaikum and good morning, viewers. I'm your host, Israr Kasana. Beginning next year, Alberta drivers will no longer require expiry stickers on their license plates. You have heard it, right? The change will be effective January the 1st as the province moves towards adopting reflective license plates. Stickers marking the month and year of registration will no longer be issued in 2021. As you know that Quebec, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Northwest Territories have already done away with these license plates expiry stickers. Alberta will transition to high-definition reflective license plates in fall 2021 and will be issued after the current stock of painted license plates runs out. So to discuss this and other very important changes, we have with us Minister of Service, Alberta, Mr. Nate Glubish. Good morning, Minister.
Thanks for having me. Good morning.
Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate that because I know you're so busy, but you spared some time for us. This is really wonderful. Wonderful to have
I'm
you.
happy to be here.
So, Minister, my first and obvious question is why this initiative?
Well, it's a good question. One of the reasons why I'm so excited about this is that by eliminating these license plate expiry stickers, we're save Alberta taxpayers over $1 million every year. These are costs that were spent to print, store, and distribute these stickers.
Right.
Ultimately is just not necessary. As you mentioned in your opening comments, many other jurisdictions have already done this. And I believe it's time for Alberta to join with them in this approach. This is an opportunity for us to save Albertans money, and then, as you mentioned, it goes hand in hand with changes to reflective plates.
Absolutely. As you said, an advantage to reflective plates is increased security features as well and visibility for law enforcement. So, do you think the law enforcement was the major concern while taking this initiative?
Well, I think it's always important to think about how the changes we make when it comes to motor vehicles and registries, it would impact law enforcement. And I worked very closely with the Alberta Association of Chiefs of Police to get their feedback on this. What we know is that law enforcement across North America is moving more towards using automated license plate reading technologies.
Right.
And we know that the reflective plates are more effective for that new technology. And so by moving in this direction, we are removing a barrier that is currently here in Alberta that would slow down the adoption of these new technologies for law enforcement. But the other angle to this is fraud protection. So some of the new security features in these reflective plates will go a long way towards stopping fraudulent plates from being used across Alberta.
Right. No, this is very important. But do you think these measures could pose privacy issues if restrictions on the use and storage of data are not imposed? Because we know for the fact that these types of readers have been used in the US to survey entire low-income and marginalized neighborhoods.
So these technologies are already being used in Alberta and around North America, and they're used with our current plates. They will be useful with the reflective plates. The change that I'm making is simply saying we're going to have higher definition and more secure license plates, which will prevent fraud. And of course, I would expect that law enforcement would be using that technology in a manner that is compliant with privacy legislation.
Okay. Minister, I've talked to different people actually, and they're asking that if there's going to be a new design of the new plates, if not, why not?
Well, so happy to clarify. No, the design of the plates is not changing. So the plates will look exactly the same. They will just be more visible and more secure.
Right.
And quite frankly, right now we're focused on addressing the COVID-19 pandemic and focused on saving lives and livelihoods. At this time, a plate redesign exercise is not our top priority.
Okay. And you mentioned in your statement, actually, I was reading it, and you said that it will cut red tape and save taxpayers money, as you said in the first answer. How exactly will this happen?
Well, so that ties back to the elimination of the license plates expiry stickers. And as you can imagine, when we are using these stickers, it costs money to print them, it costs money to store them, to distribute them, and to get them into the hands of Albertans who have legitimately renewed their registration. By moving in the direction to say that these are no longer required, all of those costs are no longer required. And this is going to save Alberta taxpayers over $1 million every year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a huge amount, actually.
Well, and that's why I'm so excited to move in this direction. When we talk about red tape reduction, we often, yes, and sometimes we're talking about actually reducing the number of regulations, but we're also talking about reducing the unnecessary costs and burdens placed on Albertans and Alberta business. And so if we can find a way to save $1 million a year with something simple as eliminating these stickers, I think it's a good move.
So Alberta is currently the only jurisdiction, actually, as you mentioned, and I mentioned it in the intro as well, in the whole of North America, actually, that doesn't issue reflective plates. So the Albertan government has really been saving money for decades compared to other provinces and territories. Is that right?
So I can't speak to what previous governments in Alberta did or why. What I can say is, when I found out that we were the only jurisdiction not to use reflective plates for our standard plates, I thought it was worth looking into what it would take to do that, and I'm pleased to say that we found a way to do that. In a way that will not cost Albertans who are renewing their plates or getting new plates any more money. So, and a really important thing for your viewers to know is that if they're going out to get a new plate once these reflective plates are available, it's not going to cost them any more money than the old plates.
Than the before. Okay.
So for me, this is a no-brainer. Let's catch up with the times. Let's get the best, most secure plate technology that has already been widely adopted across North America. I think Albertans deserve that.
Okay. What is the reaction of registry agents? Do you get the support from them?
I work very closely with the registry agents. The registry agent network is regulated by my department. And so I've spent a lot of time over the last year and a half working closely with them. And I think what's really important to note here is that the process to renew your registration and the process to get a new plate is not changing. You will still be able to do that through all the normal channels, whether that be online with the Alberta government's e-services tools, or whether that be to go to an Alberta registry agent. That process is still the same. So this is not going to have any impact on the operations, the day-to-day operations of the Alberta Registry Network.
Yes, Minister, I'm sorry, I missed that. Can you tell us what is the reaction of the people generally? What is the general reaction? Are the people liking it?
I'm hearing very positive feedback to what we've announced. Again, I think it's a good news story. We're able to save Alberta taxpayers money. I've talked to a lot of folks who found the expiry stickers an unnecessary inconvenience, and I've heard a lot of very positive feedback on having the enhanced security features on these reflective plates. So all around, I think this is a great news story.
So the people are happy about it. So that's a great thing. Among some other recent things you have done is that announce plans to review how people who can and who cannot legally change their names. Can you dilate on that, please?
Sure. Well, earlier this year, it had come to my attention that convicted sex offenders would be able to legally change their name in Alberta. And I think most Albertans were quite surprised to learn that. I certainly was surprised to learn that. I didn't think that was okay. I think that Albertans deserve to feel safe in their communities and should not be afraid of whether or not a convicted sex offender was hiding in their community and hiding from their past. And so earlier this year, I took action to amend vital statistics legislation to make it impossible for a convicted sex offender to change their names in Alberta. But back then, I made it very clear that that was just a first step, and that we always knew we might need to take some time to look into expanding that protection for Albertans. And so earlier this week, I spoke out in the legislature to say that we will be taking action in the new year to further update that legislation and the accompanying regulation to ensure that no dangerous offender will be able to change their name, hide from their past, and hide in our communities.
So, do you think it was a big problem in the province?
Well, the fact is, even just this last week, there was an article published by CBC about a dangerous offender in Alberta who is serving a sentence right now. This is Leo Teskey, who was applying or had signaled that he was intending to change his name, and he was seeking to get the courts to ban any publication that this was taking place. Now, he lost that court challenge, and as such, the story became public knowledge. Okay. But this is a real world scenario here in Alberta today of a very dangerous, violent offender who is looking to hide from his past by changing his name. And I want Albertans to know that I, as a Minister of the Crown, will do everything in my power to keep them safe from monsters like Teskey.
That's quite reassuring, Minister. You also passed prompt payment legislation to ensure that people working in construction are paid on time. That is very important. Can you explain that, please?
Yeah, I was really excited to bring this legislation forward earlier this year. It's a problem that I'd been hearing about for years, even before I decided to run for office to become an MLA. I had been hearing about this problem from folks in the construction industry. Ultimately, what the problem is that construction industry workers, companies in the construction industry, whether they be small, medium, or large, are not getting paid in a timely manner for the work that they have completed. And this has been compounded by the fact that we are in a tough economy that is making it so that this is getting even worse than it used to be. And so for me, this was a big priority. When I became the Minister of Service Alberta, and I realized that I was responsible for the legislation that could address this issue, I made it very clear to the industry and to my department that we were going to fix this problem. I'm really proud to say that just earlier in this winter legislative session, we passed prompt payment legislation that will come into effect in the new year. And this is going to create a very clear system that will ensure that everybody's going to get paid in a timely manner for work that they've completed. The Alberta construction industry is so important to the Alberta economy. Roughly 1 in 10 Albertans works in this industry. We need this industry to be strong. We need it to thrive. We need it to grow. And this legislation is going to give the construction industry the confidence they need and the certainty they need to grow their businesses and to have confidence that they are going to get paid for the work they've done.
I think this is very important, Minister, because I know for the fact that there are a lot of people I know of. They were also very concerned about this problem, and if you have fixed it, this is great. Really, I really appreciate you. You have also made changes to the real estate regulator, RECA, after firing the board because the board was dysfunctional. How was it dysfunctional, actually, Minister?
Well, this is something that I had been hearing about since the very beginning of becoming the Minister of Service Alberta, and in that capacity, I'm responsible for the real estate regulator, and responsible for the Real Estate Act of Alberta. And I had learned early on that the board of directors for the regulator had become completely dysfunctional, had lost sight on the priorities that were most important to their industry, and had lost the faith of the industry. And furthermore, we had an independent report conducted by KPMG that highlighted many ways in which they were not fulfilling their and not serving Albertans in ensuring that we had a strong regulator for this important industry. So in October of 2019, I fired the board. I appointed an administrator to take over in an interim capacity while we worked then with the industry. What I wanted to do ultimately was to reform the governance framework to say what were some of the reasons why this board was able to devolve into such a dysfunctional state in the first place, and how do we make sure that that won't happen again. And I'm really excited with what we've come up with. This isn't just something that I cooked up in the legislature on my own. This is something that I worked very closely with the real estate industry, with residential realtors and real estate brokerages, with commercial real estate agents and brokers, with mortgage brokers, and also with real estate appraisers and with property managers, all of which were regulated under this regulator. And I'm really pleased to say that we've come up with a much better system, and we've now I have made the public appointments to that board and the new industry councils, and then the industry had the opportunity to elect some of their best and brightest to serve on that board and on these industry councils as well. So I'm really confident that with this new structure, we're going to have a much stronger and effective regulator that Albertans can rely on.
That's great. And finally, Mr. Minister, if you can just let me know, how are you coping with this new COVID-19 guidelines? I know they keep changing. How is your ministry doing it in your offices?
Yeah, well, thanks for asking. Look, I first let me just say I can relate to all the Albertans out there that are feeling tired and stressed with the impacts of the pandemic. It's been a long 9 or 10 months since this began, and I want them to know that I can relate to what they're going through, and that I'm doing everything I can as a member of the legislature and as a minister of the Crown to make sure that Alberta's government does everything that it can to protect both lives and livelihoods. This is a difficult time. We have to make difficult decisions, and certainly the most recent announcements by the Premier and the Health Minister and by the Chief Medical Officer of Health. I get that it's tough, but it is necessary. We do need to protect our healthcare system to ensure it does not get overwhelmed. And so in terms of how my office is doing, certainly we're following the updated guidelines. A lot of my team are working from home. These are important things that we need to do to keep our families safe, to keep our community safe. And so I just would ask all Albertans who are watching your show, hang in there. It's tough, but we see some light at the end of the tunnel here. We know the vaccines are coming. Some of the first doses of the vaccine will be available in the coming weeks here before the end of the year. That's great news. It's a great step towards getting us back onto a path to being able to recover from this pandemic. And I'm optimistic that 2021 is going to have a lot of improvements in store for us as we all work together to make sure that Alberta emerges from this stronger than ever.
Absolutely, and I share your optimism, Minister. Before we go, let me give you and give the viewers the gist of whatever we have discussed. There are more than 5.5 million vehicles registered in Alberta. The government currently spends about $1.2 million per year to print, ship, and store expiry stickers for license plates. Stickers will still be required for farm vehicles and prorated commercial vehicles participating in the international registration plan. And then vehicle registrations expire at midnight on the last day of an assigned month based on surname or company name. These are the gist of whatever we have discussed. Thank you very much, Minister, for your time, and wish you best of luck, and wish every Albertan best of luck because of this COVID-19. We have already suffered a lot, but we hope for the best in the next year. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much, Minister. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
You too.